Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about all the jobs I've been fired from and why I got fired from them. Technically speaking, I left most of these jobs and didn't get fired, but it's easier to just say I got fired from the jobs rather than all the jobs I walked out from. These are all the jobs I've had in my 32 years of life. My first job when I was 16 was a market research interviewer position. Now, this place actually was a 15-minute bike ride from my house, and I got the job from my friend's mum. What happened is, at this job, you would basically have to call up people on the phone and try and get them to do a random survey. And the survey could be about anything random, might be for some company or some brand that they know about, and you'd ask random questions about it, and you'd have to rate them between 1 to 5, like strongly agree to strongly disagree, this kind of thing. So this job was alright. It wasn't very low pay. It was actually pretty good pay for my age at 16. But the reason I didn't stay in this job is because I simply just didn't turn up one day, and then I didn't want to work anymore. And you'll notice this is a pattern for a lot of the jobs I've had. Like, I just won't turn up anymore, and then that's the end of the job. And it's like I leave before they get a chance to fire me, basically. My second job at around 18 was a door-to-door sales, door knocking job. So we would get driven out from the office every day in a van to a random area in Melbourne, random suburb, and would have to door knock on doors all day. Would get allocated a certain route or streets to door knock on, and would have to knock these doors and try to get them to show us their bill so we can say, hey, you're going to save this much money on your electricity, and then get them to sign up to a new retailer which we were providing. Now this type of job I really didn't like, because if it's bad weather and it's raining, you're probably going to get sick because you're going to get rained on. And this job was all commission only, so you wouldn't get paid unless you got enough sign-ups and you reached the quota, like the target of how many sign-ups you got to get. And after this particular door knocking job, I tried a couple other door knocking jobs, which were all like electricity and stuff to get them to sign up. And none of these jobs actually paid me. It's all commission only, so you can door knock all you want, but if you don't get any sales or you don't have the gift of the gab, you don't make any money at all, and you won't get paid anything. You can do this for 2 weeks, a month even, but if you don't get any sales, your bank account will be zero still. My third job I had was a warehouse job. Now this was working for auto parts seller. So they would sell all kinds of auto parts for cars. And I used to just be bored at this job. I'd jump around doing 360s in the warehouse because I was bored. And even the guy was like, hey, stop doing 360s and get back to work. But that's not why this job ended. The reason this job ended is because I was afraid of heights, and they wanted me to go up a ladder one time and reach some box on top of the rack. And I said I can't do it. I was uncomfortable because I was scared of heights. And basically I tried to go up there, and then I hesitated and climbed back down. And then at the end of the day, the boss took me to the owner's office, and we had a chat, and he said, basically, I gotta fire you. You can't work here if you're afraid of heights. We can't have you not being able to do what we need you to do, basically, is what he was saying. This job, unlike the other jobs, actually paid me though, because it was an hourly casual rate for warehouse work. It was like putting boxes away and mostly putting boxes away, and also like checking if parts were damaged. My fourth job I had was market research again, interviewing again, but for a different company in Melbourne. And this job I actually stayed at for 3 years because it was part-time seasonal, so you might not work for 3 weeks or even, and then you can go back and call up, put in your availability, and then they might roster you on for this week coming or the next week. And this job was good because it was easy and boring, so it was easy money. You just had to read out the scripts on the computer screen and then call up the people and get them to fill out the survey and answer the questions and put the data in the computer. And it was really simple. It was a good hourly rate as well if you're a casual worker. And after 50 hours of work, your hourly rate went up compared to when you first started. Anyway, the reason I didn't do this job anymore is because I just didn't call up for a while and I didn't do any work for a while. So basically I got put as like low priority for shifts, and then I didn't get any shifts. And then when you call up, they say we're going to prioritize people that have been calling up more often and put in their availability. So I didn't get any more shifts after that, and I changed a different job after that, and then I just ceased working for them. The next job in this series was when I got my security license. I started doing security for a company in the city. Now I would work on different sites, just could be patrolling or standing in a position for several hours on end, just making sure everything's okay, or customer service. I worked at places like QV, Fairfield NMIT, the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, AMP building, and it's very, very boring, the security work, but I could do it, and I actually did get paid. The pay wasn't good, it was pretty low, like kind of minimum wage, but unlike the door-to-door sales, door knocking jobs, you would actually get paid, which is a big deal compared to not getting paid at all. One of the locations I worked at, the Fairfield NMIT, there was some stories that the place was haunted. And I used to watch a lot of ghost videos on the computer, and I used to think, maybe ghosts are real, you know? I didn't know any better. So after that, they told me these stories, and I was working one of the shifts, like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I kind of got a bit scared. I was saying, I thought I saw some ghost there. But really, now looking back, I didn't see anything, but it was kind of funny because the bosses and security managers after were talking about it, and they came up to me and said, "Hey, did you see any ghosts at the place?" And I was kind of nervous because I was like, I thought I might have seen something, but really they didn't believe in ghosts, so it's kind of stupid. The things I hate about this job though actually were when you stand too much and walk around in uncomfortable shoes, you would get blisters and your feet will hurt a lot, and you want to sit down, but you can't sit down. And when you want to drink water from a water bottle, you gotta like do it discreetly. You can't just do it as you want to. You gotta make sure no one sees you, or do it quietly so no one notices you, because you're always on the cameras. And that was a big thing with the security company. Your image was everything for the security company. Next job after this security job I had was another market research job, which was actually closer to home, in Richmond. And this job was the same as the first market research job, except there wasn't really product testing or any they didn't invite people to come in for product testing. It was all like random surveys about like when the NBN was starting. Like random surveys about, have you heard about the NBN and this kind of thing. And these surveys were harder to get. And I noticed the staff in the office wasn't as friendly. And overall, I didn't have as good a time at this market research place, because I felt like the staff was like not as friendly with how they give you criticism. And they kind of just said, this is how you got to do it, and you're not doing good enough. Well, it's your fault, you know. And I tried to improve, but they would say like stuff that you like, not in a friendly, nice way. Like they didn't have the right approach to giving you criticism. And I didn't enjoy this job here, and I stopped working here after a while, and I just didn't like this one. The reason this job ended though is because it's the common theme here. I called up, had a shift, and I just didn't turn up. And then I didn't turn up, and then they just stopped giving me shifts after that. So they basically decided, well, this guy's unreliable, we can't keep giving him shifts. And then I didn't get any more work with them, and then I had to look elsewhere for work. The next job in this series was a call center job, but this was during COVID 2020, and I found this job online, and then I started from home. And basically I had to call up random numbers and try and offer them wine, or selling wine over the phone. But the sales coach, or the sales, what's it called, the boss that's in charge of me, the manager or whatever, he had this problem with every pitch I was doing. It was never good enough for him. He made me repeat the pitch over and over and over again, and he never accepted it as good, even though it was fine sometimes. Sometimes it wasn't good, yeah, I get that. But last time I made it good, and then he just keeps saying there's something wrong with it. And it was never good enough for him. He would always say, like, it's not good, can you repeat it? And he made me repeat it over and over and over again, keep reciting it over and over again. And this job, I didn't make any sales, but if you make sales, you make good money. And you're calling up all the people on their list that has bought wine before, trying to get them to buy another crate of wine to get it delivered to their house. And this job was kind of hard, and they wanted you to come to the office. I didn't want to go in the office. I just wanted to call from home, and I didn't get any sales. And then they fired me, and then I called up and I said, I want to give it a go again. I want to keep trying. And then I kept trying, but then I still couldn't get any sales. And then I had to just quit this job and get out of the sales industry, basically. Now, the next job was after I got my driver's license. This was pizza delivery. Now, this pizza delivery was pretty good because I got to work by myself mostly, and I would go out and deliver pizzas and then come back and then clean up and do some dishes in the shop to help out in between when pizzas were getting delivered. This was all good and everything. And this is actually a bit of a disappointing story because I would have probably continued doing this job. But the problem was this pizza shop in particular is open until 3 a.m. in the night. And I turned up at 9 p.m. or 6 p.m. 6 p.m. I think, yeah, 6 p.m. I turned up. And then I can't work till 12 a.m. I told them. But they want me to stay till 3 a.m. And that's where me and the manager had a bit of an issue because I'd already been paid once for the work I've done, but I didn't get paid my last pay because he didn't like that I couldn't stay till 3 a.m. And then that's when this job had to end. I told him I can't stay till 3 a.m. Then I couldn't continue doing the job anymore. And then after I left, I noticed I didn't get paid. And I complained to my job agency and they couldn't do anything about it. They offered to give me a voucher or something. But then I was busy, I couldn't get the voucher. And then after that, they weren't even be able to give me the voucher. So I just got no compensation for 6 hours of work, even though I worked the hours. And yeah. Now my next job after this was working pizza delivery again for another place. This place was better because they paid me all good, everything. The only problem with this pizza job was that it didn't pay enough. Everything was good except the pay was too low. So I had to stop this job and go to a different one. Now the next job after this was pizza delivery again, but this time it was for Domino's, and they paid pretty good. They paid like $30 an hour, whatever, so it was better. And you had to clean up in the shop, which is the only annoying thing. You had to wash dishes, but the job was better, it paid better, there were better conditions. People were more friendly and people were more open to helping you because you weren't always by yourself. You would be in the shop talking to people as well, you know. And this job, I just delivered pizzas and it was all around the same area. I didn't have to drive out further to get less money. I was getting better money hourly and it all worked good. The only reason I stopped this job though is because I bought a ute, and then I wanted to start courier work for another company. I'll get into that in a sec. So the next job, as I said, was a courier work, driving a ute. For this one, you would have to drive a 1-ton ute and get forklifts to place the pallet of the stuff you want to deliver onto the back of the ute, and then you'd have to strap it all up and then deliver it around to different sites in Melbourne, like warehouses, workshops, all kinds of things like this. Now this job was okay. The pay wasn't good enough though, unfortunately. And when you factor in petrol and everything, it's just really not worth it, because I was working 10-hour days, sometime almost 12 hours, and you're only making $150 for the whole day. It's like, it's not really worth it, is it? And this job, when I was doing this job, the reason it ended is because I didn't strap some of the paint buckets properly, and then while I was driving they tipped over into the road, and then it costed them money, the business. They had to pay money for the cleanup, and then they wanted me to pay them $5,000 over 5 years or something like that in weekly installments, and I didn't want to pay it, and they wanted me to sign the form to pay them, to say I'm liable for this, but I never signed it. So I left that job, even though I didn't get paid at the end. For like the last week I didn't get paid like $1,000 I was owed, but I didn't end up paying them $5,000 or whatever for this cleanup fee. I said, that's bullshit. The business should be liable for that. I'm just a contractor. They've got to have the insurance, everything for that to be covered. And the next job I did after this was I tried to work at a petrol station at night shift, but I couldn't work without getting a headache. I was getting a headache in the middle of the night, feeling like I didn't sleep enough. Like I had this headache, this throbbing headache. It was like a migraine or some shit. And after 3 hours of work in the middle of the night, like after 10 p.m. at like 1 a.m. I had to go home, and I was complaining about the headache, and then I didn't get paid for this 3 hours, but I wasn't even complaining because I know I couldn't do this job in that time. So I walked out. It was a peaceful exit. It was like, all right, you can't do this job. I'm not going to make you do this job. And you're not going to work here. And I don't want to work here because I can't handle this job. And then it was all good like that. The next job after this was working for FedEx in a 1-ton van. I rented a van for about a week, and I started doing van delivery courier service. So you'd go to FedEx in the morning, like 7 a.m. They would load your van. You'd have to help carry the stuff into your van as well. And then you'd go out during the day and deliver parcels to businesses during the day. And you would end at about 4 p.m. So you do about 10 hours. The pay for this was pretty good, like $300 to $350 a day. But the little device they've got, which has all your jobs and everything in it, was kind of difficult to use, and they didn't give you much training on this. So you sort of had to figure it out yourself. Even though you had a 1-day training with a different driver, you're not going to remember how to do everything with this little device when you first start. You're going to have problems. And so because of that, I had some problems. And when I had to put all the stuff in the device, it wasn't working. It locked me out. I couldn't get into it. And then when I got back to the base at FedEx, I had to write down manually every single job that I delivered, and any that I didn't, that I had to bring back or whatever. And it was just a headache, and I didn't like this job anymore. After that, I decided it wasn't probably not worth it because of the hours I had to do, and I can't work too many hours anyway. And this job, with this FedEx job, my van was actually having some issues. It needed a wheel alignment. I'd have to steer like this just to go straight, basically. And then when you have to steer like this to go like this, when it's wet weather, it's very dangerous. And because of that, I had to stop this job after 3 days and return the van and basically stop the job. And then I'd have to get another van. The next job in this list was for Express, driving a 1-ton van all around Melbourne. Now this job, I thought it was good because they promised to pay you daily if you want to be paid daily. So after every day you work, you get paid that same day. But the problem is this pay was very, very low. You'll get like $100 for 1 day instead of like $250 or $300 like the other companies. So this job was really shit. And after 3 days, the guy's like, "Oh, you have to let me help you make money." And I wasn't buying that bullshit. So I just left the job, and no regrets. I got them to uninstall the radio from the van, which they installed. I gave it back to them because otherwise you have to pay for the radio missing. I got them to take that out, and then I quit with them, and then I never went back, never asked them, oh, can I start again, do some more work, because I know it wasn't worth it. You weren't getting paid properly. And I feel like every time you drive the van, your salary is paying for all the people in the call center who are on the radios to the drivers. Now, the last job in this list was courier work again in a 1-ton van. This job was actually all right. This was for UPS. You get paid about maybe $260, $250 per day. This job, you're driving around doing parcels, all residential, no businesses really. Some businesses actually, so there's some businesses, but it wasn't predominantly businesses or predominantly residential. It was like both. So you could get little parcels, and might be some big ones as well, like 10 to 20 kilos, but nothing over 25 kilos. And you'll drive around all day, you have a route, but you won't have to go over the Westgate Bridge or any bullshit like that. You'll all be in Southeast, because I'm in Southeast, so that all the jobs are in Southeast. And it was all good and all that, but I started getting too tired. I couldn't wake up in the morning, and then I on the last day, I just didn't turn up, and that's how the job ended. And basically, I left before he got a chance to fire me, and that's how it ended. So that's my summary of all the jobs I've done in the last 32 years, and I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned. There will be more content soon.